minus hours and holding. This is a standard built-in hold. The third last one will have two additional built-in holds in the countdown this morning at the T-minus 20 point and the T-minus 9 point. Everything has been going very smoothly in the countdown. We continue to be concerned about weather. However, we have a big difference here at the Kennedy Space Center over yesterday, where we have an offshore breeze which should keep the rain cells which form over the ocean away from the landmass and away from the launch pad and the landing strip. We have a fairly good sized storm cell about 40 miles off the coast, a lot of lightning associated with that, which makes it appear closer to the coast, but should not be a problem. The only weather concern that we're watching most carefully is at Dakar and at the Morone site. Dakar is the transatlantic abort site, and Morone is the weather alternate. The weather at Morone is somewhat better than at Dakar, but it does have a higher crosswind component. So we'll continue to watch that as we count down towards our window, which opens at 7:55 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time this morning and closes 10 minutes later at 8:05. The astronaut crew was awakened on time and should be filing into the breakfast room in just a few minutes from now. Following breakfast, they will be having weather updates and then prepare for their trip to the pad. The countdown clock at T-minus 3 hours and holding. This is shuttle launch control. And holding. This is a 2-hour built-in hold, which should be released about 4:35 this morning. At the present time, the closeout team, which is preparing the crew compartment on the orbiter for our astronaut flight crew of Commander Joe Engle, pilot Dick Covey, mission specialists James Oxen, Hoften, Bill Fisher, and Mike Lounge, are up doing their work. One of the essential things which is done is the positioning of the various switches and a check of the communications capability from the cabin. They will assemble the equipment which is needed for adjustment of the seats, for the various other tasks which must be done when the crew enters the cabin. The support astronaut with that closeout crew is Marcia Ivins this morning. Out on the pad, the ice inspection team is continuing to make their inspections and is presently on the highest point, the 215-foot level of the service structure. This is up near the gaseous oxygen vent arm, where they'll be taking a look at the top of the external tank. The job of that ice team is to determine whether there is any ice buildup at any critical point on the external tank or on any of the attaching structures or the main propulsion system. The danger of ice buildup would be if it were to shake loose during launch and impact the orbiter, damaging the tiles. We expect at this time that the flight crew is in the breakfast room preparing for breakfast. During the early days of the manned space program, the breakfast of choice generally was steak and eggs. However, these days there is a broad range of things to choose from, ranging from cereal to pancakes or whatever they would particularly like. Everything going smoothly in the countdown at this point. The countdown clock at T-minus 3 hours and holding. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control. The crew in the breakfast room at the present time, sitting at the table from left to right, James Van Hoften, a mission specialist. We have the pilot Dick Covey, Commander Joe Engle, Bill Fisher, mission specialist, and Mike Lounge, the other mission specialist. It looks like they're having orange juice this morning, and one of the things which is normally on the table is a cake decorated with a crew patch. Apparently that was consumed yesterday. Frequently sharing breakfast with the crew is the administrator of NASA, James Beggs, George Abbey, Director of Flight Crew Operations for Johnson Space Center, and Jess Moore, Associate Administrator for Spaceflight at NASA Headquarters, along with John Young, who is Chief of the Astronaut Office. John Young will be going with flight crew during the first leg of their trip to the pad, and he will leave the convoy at the Launch Control Center and go out to the landing strip where he'll be flying the shuttle training aircraft to take a look at the weather and to check the visibility should the crew have to return to the launch site because of some malfunction. This is something which has never happened, however, something which is carefully checked each time just to be absolutely sure. The countdown at T-minus 3 hours and holding. This is shuttle launch control. And it's 2 hours, 42 minutes and counting. Everything going smoothly in the preparations for launch at 7:55 a.m. this morning here at the Kennedy Space Center. We've just had a weather briefing for the crew over in the crew quarters of the weather here and around the world. Here at the Kennedy Space Center, there are rain showers for about 25 miles offshore. And they are moving to the northeast, so should not be a problem here for launch time. It's expected that there will be scattered clouds at the lower levels and some broken clouds at about 25,000 feet, but that the rain cells will stay offshore. The upper air winds look satisfactory here at the Space Center. The L-5 hour balloon went up to 75,000 feet without finding anything of significance. At the Northrop Strip, it's primarily unrestricted visibility with scattered clouds at the low, mid, and high levels. Edwards Air Force Base, the abort once around site, is also unrestricted visibility with some scattered clouds. At Dakar, the cloud situation is not as good. At the present time, they are forecasting that there will be broken clouds at about 1,500 feet and scattered clouds at the higher levels. The wind is satisfactory at only 5 knots. Morón, Spain, unrestricted visibility. However, there is a crosswind that is forecast for launch time of from 10 to 15 knots. A decision will be made at approximately the 2 hour and 15-minute point in our countdown, about 25 minutes from now, as to which TAL site will be selected. Honolulu and Guam both have scattered clouds, but basically no problem if there should be contingency landing necessary at one of those sites. So at the present time, the weather looks satisfactory here at the launch site. However, we are taking a close look at the weather at Dakar and at Spain to determine which the transatlantic abort site should be. Out on the pad, the lithium hydroxide canisters are being installed in the orbiter, and the closeout crew has gone through communications in the cockpit and done other tasks to prepare for the crew to arrive. The crew is scheduled to leave for the pad at approximately 5 minutes after 5 this morning. Once again, looking for a liftoff on time at 7:55 Eastern Daylight Time. The countdown clock at T-minus 2 hours, 38 minutes, 4 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. The ICE team has just reported back to Launch Director Bob Seek that everything is satisfactory on the pad for the launch this morning. They took a look at all aspects of the external tank from the top around the gaseous oxygen vent arms down to the bottom, and also took a look up at the various parts of the main propulsion system to ensure that there was no serious ice buildup that could cause damage during the liftoff. There was a little bit of frost on such things as the liquid oxygen feed bellows and the liquid hydrogen feed bellows, but nothing that is unexpected. The NASA test director has also given permission for the flight crew to leave the operations and checkout building and proceed to the pad. This means that everything is going very smoothly. If there had been any problem known at this point, the crew would remain in their quarters until that problem was resolved. As it is, everything has been going smoothly, and we expect that the crew will be leaving their third floor quarters at the operations and checkout building sometime within the next 6 minutes. The countdown clock at T-minus 2 hours, 33 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 30 minutes and counting. The NASA Landing and Recovery Director, Chuck Henschel, has conducted a communications check for the convoy commanders at the Kennedy Space Center and the solid rocket booster recovery ships. He has also asked for a status on landing aids such as the runway lights, the microwave scanning beam landing system, tactical air navigation system, PAPI lights, and ball bar. The MILA, or Merritt Island Communications and Tracking System antenna, which transmits and receives communications from the launch vehicle, has been aligned. The telemetry system used for transmitting data and information for tracking the vehicle is now being verified to be operating properly. At the crew quarters on the third floor of the O&C building, the crew walking out of their quarters and entering the elevator for the trip down to the bottom floor. Joe Engle, commander, being the last one of the crew to go in, followed by John Young, who is chief of the astronaut office, and other members of the team. They're on the way down to the ground floor where the astronaut is waiting to take them out to the pad. A group of well-wishers is waiting on the ground floor along with the news media, and frequently they're met by signs wishing them a good mission. During the weather forecast period, the Capcom at Dakar wished them a good trip as well. And here they are walking out of the bottom floor of the O&C building, led by Commander Joe Engle, pilot Dick Covey, and mission specialists Ox Van Hoften, Bill Fisher, and Mike Lounge, entering the Astrovan for the 9-mile trip out to the pad, where Discovery is waiting once again. The weather for this morning's launch, though, looking a little better than yesterday. We are now less than 3 hours from the launch of Space Shuttle Mission 51I and the 6th flight of the orbiter Discovery. On the way to the pad, the crew will have an escort of security guards and medical personnel. The Astrovan now moving off on its way to pad 39A and Discovery. The countdown, T-minus 2 hours, 27 minutes, 15 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. Minutes and counting. The support astronaut, Marcia Ivins, who is with the closeout crew up in the orbiter and the white room on the 195-foot level of the pad, has been instructed by the orbiter test conductor, Jerry Miller, to configure the switches in the crew compartment for the arrival of the flight crew. The vehicle in an emergency. The descent device attaches to the harness and can be used to lower the astronaut from the ground from either side hatch or through the overhead escape panels. The descent device allows the member to lower himself at a controlled rate of descent. The harness, which you'll see each crew member put on, also contains a life vest, which provides 24 hours of flotation capability in a shuttle orbiter with a water landing. There's also an inflatable pillow, which can be used for the personal comfort of each of the crew members. Pilot Dick Covey, and they'll be followed by the mission specialist. During the comm checks, you'll hear each of them report in order. MS-1, Mission Specialist 1, is James Ox Van Hoften. MS-2 is Mike Lounge, and MS-3 is Dr. Bill Fisher. The countdown going smoothly here at the Kennedy Space Center. The clock at T-minus 2 hours, 3 minutes, 12 seconds and counting. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 2 hours, 1 minute counting. Commander Joe Engle has just entered the White Room along with pilot Dick Covey and is donning the vests that are used for escape and also for comfort while they're in the orbiter. There was no problem that created. They have an uninterruptible power supply to the launch processing system, and they have been checking the cargo system, but got a go from the cargo engineer prior to the crew crossing the swing arm to enter the orbiter. Commander Joe Engle now entering the orbiter. Dick Covey getting ready to do the same thing. Commander Engle has been a NASA astronaut since 1966. Prior to that, he served in the Air Force and became a NASA X-15 pilot in 1963. He's logged more than 10,000 hours as a pilot, 7,300 of that in jets. Launch control at T-minus 1 hour, 50 minutes and counting. The two mission specialists, Mike Lowndes and Dr. William Fisher, presently in the White Room and preparing for their entry into the orbiter. Mike Lowndes has put on the vest during launch and entry, and Dr. Bill Fisher waiting to put on his paraphernalia to enter the orbiter. Mike Lowndes graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy and completed Naval Flight Officer training at Pensacola. He joined the Johnson Space Center in 1978 as an engineer, as a staff project officer, and served as the lead engineer for integration of spin-stabilized upper stage payloads in future shuttle missions. He was selected as a mission specialist by NASA in 1980 and served on the launch support team at KSC for the first 3 shuttle flights and has specialized in the shuttle computer systems. Dr. William Fisher was born in Dallas, Texas, and he earned his Doctor of Medicine degree at the University of Florida. He also has a master's degree in engineering from the University of Houston. After medical school, Dr. Fisher is specialized in emergency medicine. And even though he has been in the astronaut corps since 1980, he continues to practice emergency medicine at Clear Lake Hospital in Houston. His assignments as a mission specialist have included scientific equipment operator for B-57 high-altitude research, EVA mobility unit and EVA activity procedures, hardware and software development for the PAM-Ds, and he was Capcom for STS-8 and 9. Moving to the members of the closeout crew and entering the orbiter. A very interesting commercial experiment on board, which has to do with vapor transport deposition of crystals on a substrate for the 3M company. Almost everybody in the launch team is running slightly ahead of schedule today. The crew is ahead in their activities of configuring the switch panel for pre-activation of the hydraulic auxiliary power unit water boilers. These are used for cooling of the turbo system, which produces the hydraulic power used to steer the engines on the orbiter. The spray boilers are activated automatically if the hydraulic fluid exceeds 208 degrees Fahrenheit or the lubrication oil exceeds 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Activation of the S-spin to high power is complete, and the support personnel at the landing sites and the booster retrieval area are being polled on their readiness to support the launch. Commander Joe Engle has been asked to stand by and vent the cabin pressure at the T-minus 30-minute point, and safety and security personnel here at the Kennedy Space Center have verified that the shuttle landing facility has been cleared and secured in case it's needed for a return to launch at aboard. T-minus 24 minutes and counting. During the period during which Commander Joe Engle was checking the transfer capability between the 4 primary computers and the backup, a byte error was detected in the backup computer. At the present time, they're trying to determine whether this is a hardware problem or a software problem, and talking about what can be done possibly to reload the programs during the T-minus 20-minute hold. Troubleshooting is going on now in that area to determine whether the backup computer will be able to support the launch this morning. The countdown clock continuing as we move forward towards the T-minus 20-minute build-in hold. This is a 10-minute build-in hold, and one of 2 which remains in the countdown this morning.
Yeah, can I ask CDR if you got an eye sale?
5.3 by 10.5 feet in the cargo bay. However, once in orbit, the solar panels are deployed and the length increases to 46.5 feet from tip to tip. Continuation of that troubleshooting activity at T-minus 20 minutes and holding. This is Shuttle Launch Control. T-minus 20 minutes and holding. The dump of the computer has been completed and is being looked at the Johnson Space Center and in California. We have not had an indication of when they might come out of this particular hold. Normally we would be coming out at the 7:25 point. However, we have to be prepared to change to the launch programs at the time we come out. So we are standing by here to hear a go to come out of the hold. At the present time, the launch team is discussing the various options as far as reprogramming of the computer is concerned. The examination of what has been dumped indicate that it will be satisfactory. If we cannot prepare the computer, or if the computer cannot be used in its present condition, then we would have to scrub the launch for this morning.
CDPS, panel C2, left CRT select switch to 1. Okay, to 1.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 20 minutes and holding. We have a discussion going on as to whether we can come out of this hold. They have completed the reprogramming of the backup computer and have asked for a one-shot dump of a regular one of the 4 online computers, and then they will have to do a dump and compare of the backup computer as well after that is completed. We are standing by to see whether we can come out of this hold. We have only a very short time. They're just doing the one-shot transfer now from one of the standard computers on board. We only have a 10-minute window for this morning's launch, going from 7:55 to 8:05. However, we could use some of the 10-minute build-in hold which we have at the T-minus 9-minute point if we determine that we are in a condition to go. They've already only have a little more than 8 minutes remaining in that minute built-in hold at the 9-minute point. In the meantime, though, other activities are continuing. John Conway, who is Director of Cargo Operations, has checked with our customers, OSAT, Syncom, or Hughes, and the American Sat Company. All have given a final go for launch as far as their satellites and their command centers and tracking centers are concerned. We continue to stand by here to determine whether or not we'll be able to pick up the count at the T-minus 20 minute. When we have picked up the count, T-minus 19 minutes, 55 seconds, and counting. As we come out of the hold, the computer transition to Ops 101 is made. Ops 101 is the computer program used for the ascent of the space shuttle into orbit. The prime computer has been dumped already. That's normally done at this time, and compared with an onboard computer to verify that it's in the configuration for launch.
C2.
During this particular period, the crew, in addition to having to with the computers, would be checking the horizontal situation displays. The crew is configuring the instruments for launch, and then at the T-minus 16-minute point, the main propulsion subsystem cockpit switches will be configured, and the helium tank isolation valves opened for launch. At that point, the airframe engineer will check the critical aerosurface driver currents and position and report whether aerosurface and ascent vector control system is ready for hydraulic pressurization.
Take that on my mark when I give you the go.
T-minus 17 minutes, 40 seconds and counting, continuing to try for launch during our window, which runs from 7:55 to 8:05 this morning. T-minus 16 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. The activities continuing here in the firing room to prepare for a possible launch this morning. We are going to be taking a look very carefully at the that 9-minute hold. There would only be capability of having a 1 minute and 45-second hold at that point if we are going to try for the beginning of the window at 7:55. However, we can do what we did yesterday, which is we can pick up the count down to the 5-minute point prior to the activation of the auxiliary power unit, and then stand by there to give ourselves every second possible in order to make the launch. The people continuing to work to and determine whether we do have a good backup computer on board, and to ensure that we have and we've just had a confirmation from the range safety officer that the KSC area is clear for launch.
Go ahead. Perform ambient helium recompensation. Roger, work. DPS. DPS CDR. Word is
T-minus 12 minutes and counting, continuing to move down to the 9-minute point. Contingency support operations have reported they're ready to support the launch, and emergency aircraft personnel on station. 9-minute hold now. At that point, there will be a conference, and we have just heard that we have another compute failure, and we will have a decision made during the 9-minute hold.
at 9 ISM and get the final word.
We're at minus 9 minutes and holding. Holding, waiting for a decision at this point. The countdown clock holding at the T-minus 9 minute point while the management team assesses the situation to make a firm decision on whether we will be able to proceed or not. To recap, we had a failure error at the point where we was determining the whether the backup flight computer had the right program in it in comparison to the other 4 computers on board. At that point, it was necessary to dump that computer in order to compare what was in it, and then it was reprogrammed. Director Bob Seek just announcing to the Lockheed Test Director and the NASA Test Director that we will scrub at this point. They have determined that the GPC number 5 is in a no-go condition. We will recycle for 24 hours and attempt to launch tomorrow morning. So at this point, to summarize, we detected an error in the backup flight computer prior to the T-minus 20-minute hold. We used as much time as possible to dump that computer, to reprogram that. However, that information was analyzed at the Johnson Space Center and at the factory in California and at Rockwell, and a determination made that we were no-go on the backup flight computer. The launch window for tomorrow morning at the present time is 7:04 to 7:19 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is Shuttle Launch Control. Present time, and this may be refined during the day, is from 7:04 to 7:20 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The launch window on Tuesday, should we need that, is from 7:02 to 7:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. On Wednesday, 6:21 to 6:43 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And there is a possibility of a launch as late as Thursday if that should be needed. However, a launch window has not yet been determined if that should be the case. The scrub of the launch for today was caused by the failure of the backup computer on board the orbiter. And the crew and the launch team are continuing to work that particular problem to gather as much information prior to the recycle as possible. However, the launch attempt for today has been subbed, and the plans are to launch 7:04 a.m. Monday morning. This is Shuttle Launch Control.